Welcome.
Welcome to the show.
This is the show. I am A.J. Peterson.
I am H.F. Peabody.
Yes.
All right, and let's just get right into it. Today we are talking about capitalism.
Yeah, it's a pretty wide concept, and something that I'd like to clarify is we are both political radicals, but something that gets mistaken very often is that all political radicals are communists. And so I'd like to clarify just off the bat that I am not a communist.
I'm not a communist. Is that the insinuation? I mean, I'm not a communist. I'm not a communist.
I'm pretty sure she's a communist.
Okay, now wait a minute. Aren't you the one who wants to? Do you even like capitalism? You're not a fan of capitalism, right?
No, I don't like capitalism, but I'm not a communist.
Well, I mean, okay.
You're the person that wants to dissolve the government or whatever.
That's not communism. That's just basic anarchy.
Yeah, there's a fine line, I'd say. Also, you're not an anarchist, are you?
Yes. I guess an anarcho-capitalist is what I describe myself as, which is pretty as far from a communist as you can get. But that's not besides it. You're the one. You want the government to control everything. That's actually this notion that anarchy and communism are somehow tied up. That's not entirely true. You want the strong government to control everything.
Well, I want a strong government to control everything, and I don't want any freedom, and I don't want capitalism. But I'm not.
No, wait a minute. Sorry. Look at the USSR. Look at China. Okay, what are those?
See what China has to do with this. China is not properly communist. China is something else, or it's pretending to be communist for the bonus points. But
okay, that's it, I guess technically. Communism is a very broad thing. Okay, it's not just there's not just one kind of communism. Okay,
yes, but the point is, I am not a communist.
Okay, but what do you mean when you say communist?
Well, the color red. And there's the sickle and the hammer and
That's the USSR. That's not just communism, but also the USSR. They're literally what. Don't you adore them? Isn't that they do everything that you say, right?
Well, kind of, but they're communists, and I'm not communist. Look. Why are we talking about me? You're the person that, like I said, wants to abolish the government. You're all about this revolution. You're anti the West. It's basic communist.
No, wait a minute. I'm not anti the West per se. What I'm against is this, generally advancing woke culture and these.
You're against woke culture?
I'm against woke culture. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
I think. Look. Sorry. When I say woke culture, look. Okay. I'm not saying that we necessarily need to return to those 1800s society old values or whatever. I think
this is a myth. The old values, it's all a myth. Here's something that very interesting. Reporters have looked back in time, and they've seen that oh no, people are freaking out about the woke culture. It's a myth. It doesn't exist. This thing, comedians being canceled for doing insensitive jokes, has been going on for hundreds of years. This is not a recent occurrence. And also, in addition to that, in the past, people were far more open about gay stuff and race and everything. It wasn't until
No, wait a minute. Sorry. I'm all for. As an individual, of course, I have my own things. I'm against the systemic, homophobia and racism. I think that the general societal trend toward those things is also bad. When I say woke culture, what I mean is more this this notion of these young radicals, not us, we're a different kind of radicals, the better kind, but these but the right kind.
You're the right kind of radicals.
Yes, we are. Both individually the right kind of radicals. I'm a better kind though. But anyway.
No, I'm. Okay,
anyway.
We are not the right kind of radicals. I am the right kind of radical.
He's a radical. He's a radical. Anyway. I just think that this trend towards more. Okay, when I say woke culture, I don't mean woke culture in
Then what do you mean?
Communism.
I don't think you know what woke culture is.
All these kids are going out and protesting. All these
You're having a hell of a time stringing your words together.
Okay, what do you think woke culture is?
To me.
What do you think? What do you think woke culture is?
I think that woke culture is people that don't like other people using their political agendas to get rid of the people that they don't like.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Well, in that case,
and I'm all for that.
So you like woke culture?
I love woke culture.
So are you woke?
No.
No, but you like woke culture.
Well, I like what it does to society.
Okay.
It makes people afraid to share their political beliefs, and
that's what I don't like about woke culture. Okay.
Yeah, but I like that people are afraid. We want people afraid. We want to eliminate individualism.
I think okay, we can get to that in a moment because that's one hell of a thing to say. But I think if people are afraid, I think fear is fine. As long as it's not okay, I'm afraid of lions, okay? I don't want to get mauled by a lion. I don't want to get run over by a car. I'm afraid of those things, okay?
Okay.
I'm afraid of falling off a cliff. But I think that this fear caused by society, of society, okay? So as this beast that exists only to perpetuate itself through fear, that's the part of woke culture, the cancellations.
Well, I thought you wanted society to fall down and crumble.
Yeah, yes, I do, but that's the thing. It's not doing that. Society doesn't do that because society is a well-oiled machine.
So you think society is working?
No, I mean yes.
You think society's working?
I think that society is
communist. You heard it here first, folks.
Society isn't communist. That's okay.
Communism is the kind of society.
I mean, technically speaking, yes, but not the kind of society that we look. Regardless, what I'm saying is that I think that society. That it's working not in that it's good, but in that it continues to uphold its, we have a society, okay? And we keep having a society, and society keeps making itself happen. And so in that sense, it's working. It's working as people intended it, as they intended it to work.
This is my exact point. So you want anarcho-capitalism, right?
Yes.
But what I'm saying is that society will rise up no matter what. I'm saying if we fall into anarchy, the terrible society that now exists will rise up again, because that's the human condition. If we give nothing, something bad will emerge. What we need to do is clamp down. We need to have a very intense government control of everything.
Okay, one moment. To address...
No capitalism, because that allows businesses. Businesses are not good because that allows the individual to gain money.
Okay, yes. Yeah, okay, two things. I'll address that point in a moment, along with the individualism comment you made a bit ago. But I think that this is the thing that a lot of people say is that, well, we can't just abolish society and we can't just, of course, any anarcho-communist would, be begging to differ, would be agreeing with me right now saying, but look, okay, a lot of people would say that if we just abolish...
You admit communists are agreeing with you so far. Sounds like a communist to me.
Anarcho-communists, okay, all these, they're what the kids are these days, okay? The woke mob might agree with me on some points, but that's not what I'm getting at here. What I'm getting at here is that that you can't. Okay, Sorry, not anarcho-communism. I'm not focusing on that. When you have societies, okay, we've had for thousands of years now. Okay, we've had society after society rise and fall and rise and fall. Okay, and you say that we can't leave humans to their own devices because if we do that, then we just get these societies that are just bad and bad and bad.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, that's what. Okay, great. And what I'm saying is that's because it's not happened yet. Okay, it hasn't happened yet. When a society crumbles, when a society crumbles, whose fault is it?
The society.
It's the society's fault. Exactly. Societies are the things that make themselves crumble. Okay, the issue is that whenever society falls, it falls not because not because each person as an individual has decided that they are done with society as a whole and they are going to, go forge their own paths and become independent people, but because the society has ceased to function, the well-oiled machine is broken down, and then that doesn't mean that we have paved the way for, the anarcho-capitalist utopia. What that just means is that now there's just a void that can be filled by a new society. And
exactly.
But that's the thing. This is not what I'm a proponent of is not just a void. I don't just want an everlasting void of, because there doesn't have to be. We can live in a post-societal world.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You want that void to be filled by individual business owners.
I want that void to be filled by individuals. It doesn't have to be, for the record, I don't want there to be some sort of a hyper-corporation that controls our every move because that's just a government. Okay, that's just a government under a different name.
What do you want instead?
I want a society wherein individuals can thrive within there can be businesses as long as those businesses
won't those businesses just grow?
Are not society
from becoming their own government.
Us, we are, because here's the thing. Sorry, not us.
So there is a governing body preventing these businesses from growing.
It's not the governing body; it's the individuals.
So the individuals all have a bunch of laws. And they're all following these laws.
No. It's not that it would be illegal for the governments for these governments to form. It would just be that in this ideal world, we would have advanced to a point wherein we realize that we can throw off these shackles of government and society, and that
that is impossible. We will never realize that. That is my point. That's why we need to clamp down. Don't give people a choice because they will choose wrong. You're assuming too many good things about humans for your plan to work.
Okay. Sorry, yes, this brings me to my second point. I think we can leave this for later. You say that if we take away all personal freedoms, basically, if we just have people live in these, fascist, dystopian, whatever, that's the ideal society?
Yes.
What do you value?
I value advancing science to the point where we can prevent the eventual heat death of the universe.
What?
So the universe, it's going to collapse on itself?
Well, yeah.
And then everything is going to be destroyed. Ever. There will be nothing left ever.
I mean, sure.
To prevent that, we need extremely advanced science, because there's no way in how we're doing that now.
Okay, I'm sorry. First off, we have billions. I mean, isn't it trillions of years until that? I don't know. Ask a scientist.
Okay, but then hear me out. The Earth is going to be destroyed first. And then, so we don't have billions and trillions of years. We have like 1 million years, and then the Earth goes poof. Right?
Well, okay. I mean. Yeah.
And if we spend that million of years fighting within each self, wait, what? If we spend that millions of years fighting amongst each other and killing each other and trying to figure out the best way, and if we have no system of government to make sure that the scientists are doing what they need to do, then we'll never advance science enough.
You don't understand greed. You don't understand the will to survive. The thing is
That's what I'm saying. That's why we need to remove that.
What?
We need to remove greed and the will to survive by destroying the family unit, making everybody live in like capsules, no relationships with other people, a complete isolation, slavery. We'll get to that later. And good stuff like that.
Slavery, I can. But okay, one moment. This is okay. I think that the way that people work is that if we get to a point where the Earth is actually, being destroyed, if we get to a point where there's actually a need for people to leave, basically, that then people will develop for themselves the technology to leave, then people will
But they won't.
They will. We survive things that happen to us.
Didn't do it.
We're not dinosaurs!
We are very clearly dinosaurs, and I will stand by that.
Well, what's your definition? Okay. Secondly, and more importantly, what kind of a life do you want for what happens if we prevent the heat death?
We go on existing.
Okay. And do we keep existing in this totalitarian state?
Well, we'll see what the world is like after we've prevented the heat death.
Okay.
No, but the point is that we have no option for any sort of government after the heat death, unless we prevent the heat death. So if we prevent the heat death, we're giving ourselves an option. And if we don't prevent the heat death, we have no option.
Okay, have you read that one book, 1984, Ray Bradbury? Or no, not 1984, Fahrenheit 451, Ray Bradbury.
Yes, I have.
Yes, okay. Here's the thing, okay? What that book does is it's actually, I'm glad I mentioned 1984 because it provides this interesting comparison, which is what happens when we have the shackles of society versus the shackles of the government, because there, strictly speaking, it's society that can find us rather than George Orwell's vision for your utopia, whatever. But I think that book shows really well that if we lived in this world wherein everyone couldn't have relationships with each other and lived in little pods, that's not a life.
No, Fahrenheit 451, they're all granted pleasures by these screens. They're given pleasures and dopamine. That's the issue. They're overloaded with instantaneous gratification. I'm saying no gratification ever.
I think, have you seen, that's not how, where do you have where's the precedent that people can live without any pleasure ever and what about rebellions?
Well, exactly. If we isolate them, they can't talk to each other, they won't form rebellions.
But what about the indomitable human spirit? I believe that individuals, even in your society, would be able to, that there is some chance that they would like form together, and just that the people in your world, the people themselves are a threat to the institution. I mean, of course, people always, that's always how it works. People are always the threats to the institution because the institution is inherently anti-individual,
exactly.
which you think of as a good thing and I think of as a bad thing. But I think that people will always be able, you'll live in, you, or whoever you have running this thing, which I'll get to in a moment, will have to live in constant fear of the uprising, of the rebellion. Because what happens then?
No, because you see, okay, so first, great idea I got from 1984, languages. It's the key to thought, it's the key to, like, thinking, right?
If we don't teach them the words for it, then they don't know how to think it.
Exactly. So, remove the word for rebellion. Good first step. Second step, teach everybody a different language. Make it slightly different, so each person can get basic words across, but can't efficiently communicate anything complex to each other.
And I assume you wouldn't have a word for freedom either.
Of course not. Unnecessary. Nobody needs it. We are not free. Why do we need to think about it?
Okay, I actually sort of agree with you there on some twisted level. But how do you guarantee that you have the right people running this place?
AI.
You want AI to run... Where would you be in this world?
I'd be dead.
In your utopia, you're dead.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to live in your utopia?
No, it'd be... Well, I don't want to have no gratification ever.
So, walk me through again why it is better for us to live for possibly trillions of years with, I mean, how many people are born today, do you know?
3.
With hundreds of people living throughout that time, hundreds of people, none of whom get any sort of pleasure or gratification in their entire lives?
Yeah.
Why is that better than not that?
Because then we get to prevent the heat death of the universe, and then we get to exist infinitely with as much gratification as we want.
So it's like
it's for the greater good. We're sacrificing our own happiness so that there will be an infinite period of time where everybody else can be happy.
Okay, so it's like a religion.
Look, I don't like religion, so let's.
No, wait a minute. Okay, you sound like one of those. I mean, live forever in happiness.
Yes.
Sacrifice worldly pleasures here, so that they can live forever in happiness. Come on.
Yes.
How you won't even have? Okay, I guess you are right that we won't know. How will we break free from our AI overlords if no one knows the word for freedom? Everyone lives in their own pods, and
well, the AI will,
be on your side.
Well, the AI will also want to keep existing.
Right? Will it? Well, I wouldn't want to keep existing in this world.
But they're the AI, so they don't have feelings.
So then how do they want to keep existing?
They're programmed.
Okay.
You program them to want to keep existing.
Okay.
And so then they prevent the heat death of the universe so that they can keep existing.
And then they keep existing, and they just keep all of the humans. We won't even be able to develop the technology. We won't even be able if we're all in boxes. If we're all in boxes.
Program them. Set us free.
If we're all in boxes, we can't develop technology.
That's what the AI... No. Yes, we can.
How?
We'll have a workstation in our box.
And the AI will teach us.
Yes, exactly.
But the AI
develops all those different languages.
But the AI won't be able to teach us anything that the AI doesn't already know.
Well, the AI will... that's how science works. You don't... You get taught the basic building blocks, and then you extrapolate.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
And why doesn't the AI do this work itself?
Maybe it'd be better just to kill all humans.
No, wait a minute. But why? Why?
So we can prevent the heat death of the universe.
But that's not necessary.
Yes, it is. You want everything to die forever?
No, I mean, even if we are considering the heat death of the universe as the biggest issue that we have to deal with.
Yes.
Two things. A, we can have the AI working on it and the people still alive. B, actually three things. B, we can have people working on it without having, even if we don't have AI, even if we don't have your totalitarian regime, we can still have people working on it because people don't like dying.
Let's stop talking about this. Your belief system is very flawed, if I do say so myself.
Well, I'm glad you think that. What's wrong with this?
So explain it.
Okay. Governments are bad, societies are bad, we get rid of governments and societies, and everyone lives happily with our individual freedoms because freedom is the most important thing.
Okay, but the people will develop new societies.
Okay, the people need to realize, I guess this is part of my thing, is that the people need to realize, they will realize, once we're done with society, once it's a thing of the past.
Why haven't the people realized that so far?
Because of society,
there have been periods. That's really embarrassing for you. Look, there have been periods of anarchy in the past.
No, there haven't. There haven't been widespread societal periods of anarchy.
Yes, there have.
One!
Before society.
Well,
and then society developed.
Yeah, but that's because they didn't know their options yet, right? It wasn't like we have society or we don't have society and we pick one and then they pick society.
Well, who's going to teach them the options? Who are going to teach the future generations the options?
Well, the people from the past generations, if they so choose.
But what if they choose not to?
Well, then the ones who did choose to teach their kids, those kids will be able to...
But the ones who didn't teach their kids, those kids might develop a society.
And then these other kids can get rid of it. But also, imagine, those kids would then...
Society can be very enchanting.
Then those kids will be able to decide. Those kids will be able to decide because then they'll have the options of not society or society, and they'll see how heavily society restricts the freedoms of people. And hey, maybe there might be, in
theory...
Why
is freedom the best thing?
Oh, okay, I'm glad you asked. This brings it back to a Fahrenheit 451, okay, wherein they don't have freedom because of society, and they're not happy. They are happy
in Fahrenheit 451. That's the point.
No, they're pleased.
What's the difference between happiness and being pleased?
It's just like the dopamine. There's more than just dopamine to being happy.
Is there? What is there?
Well, being happy.
And what does that mean? What does that mean to you?
I mean, I can't. It's like trying to describe blue to a blind man. I can't, like...
Well, you can say it's blue. He'll understand that.
It's happy.
Okay, but I'm saying, what's the difference between that and just pleasure?
But just pleasure isn't like... I mean, I don't know. I guess you could...
Are you talking about fulfillment?
You could call it fulfillment.
And where do you get fulfillment from?
Living a meaningful life.
And how do you live a meaningful life?
Do important things.
And how do you do important things if there's no society?
Individuals can do important things by themselves.
For example, what would they do? What's an important thing an individual could do that would make them feel fulfilled?
Build a family and establish...
Isn't a family a society?
Okay, I mean, now we're getting into the pedantics of what is and is not a society. Sure, technically you could consider a family to be a society, but when I say society in the pejorative, what I mean is, like, governments. I mean, not just governments. I mean, you can have...
What will the family structure be like in this world?
Whatever people want it to be like.
Okay. And what will they choose?
I don't know, I'm not them.
They will choose the status quo because they know nothing else. If people are left... People with freedom are terrified by freedom. People dream of freedom, but when given freedom, they are terrified. Think of the people that win the lottery. Suddenly they don't have to work. Suddenly they have all the money they could ever want. They could do anything they want, and most of them drug overdose.
And how many of them are economics majors?
Where are the universities going to be?
People can make their own universities and teach their kids things, or teach other people's kids things.
Universities have systems of government. Universities have power structures. The classroom is a society. The classroom has a teacher ruling over the students.
Society is not a one-on-one thing. You can't have one person and call that a society.
No, I'm talking about a group of people looking up to and getting all of their ideas from a much smaller group of people. And that much smaller group of people has rules because they want to run the classroom. They have homework. They have no throwing chalk in class because we need to have orderly things so that we can actually learn and be efficient.
Well, okay. What I think is that if the people want to learn, then it can be their individual choice to follow those rules or not. But that, like in our society, you don't have that. You don't have the choice.
But why would small children choose to learn?
But we don't have to teach them when they're small. But also,
if you don't teach somebody something when they're small, they don't really learn it. Like once you get past 25 or something, the brain is fully developed, and then it's very difficult to teach people things.
Okay. Well then, it can be their parents' decision. Okay, their parents' decision.
So the children don't have freedom.
Freedom. Okay, freedom is a topic for another.
So the children don't have freedom.
Okay, fine. No, that's not, because that's not what freedom is.
So the children don't have freedom.
In this society, there wouldn't be a concept of freedom because we'd be past that, because freedom is something inextricably tied to society. When we talk about slavery more, we can talk about what freedom really is.
It's something just tied to power structures. If you have a family, you have a power structure.
That's one possible interpretation of the word, but that's not what I mean when I say freedom.
What's your definition of freedom?
Not being restricted by society.
Can you use a definition of freedom that does not involve the word society?
No, because they're inextricably linked.
Then I'll replace the word society with the word power structure.
But that's wrong.
So what's your definition of society?
People who, if I say people who restrict freedom.
No.